Wayne, when we were talking about 10-10-10, he goes, Mark, I want you to come up with the volunteer. And so I'm big on Facebook. I threw it out on Facebook, hey, I'm emceeing this event, and we're looking for somebody that's really giving back to the community. And I happen to be connected with ARC in Jefferson County through a dear friend, and Lisa Madsen just was immediately in their minds as somebody that we should nominate. Lisa lives in Lakewood with her son Sammy and husband Jim. She lives in a home full of invisible disabilities. Sammy has Asperger's disorder and sensory processing disorder, and her husband Jim has a permanent back disability and lives in chronic pain. Lisa contributes most of her volunteer time to two different organizations. The ARC in Jefferson County was key in giving Lisa the tools of advocacy and inspiration to fight for her son and other children. She now gives back to them as a volunteer. Lisa also volunteers for PEP, Parents Encouraging Parents, which is a division of the Colorado Department of Education. Lisa Madsen, LCSW, that's for Licensed Clinical Social Worker, is a 2010 recipient of the Invisible Disabilities Association Volunteer Honors Award. Lisa has been chosen based upon her extensive volunteerism with the ARC in Jefferson County, an organization focused on helping people with developmental disabilities. Lisa has served the ARC as a board member in the Mobilizing Families program, as a family small group facilitator, and in a multitude of other needed areas. Ladies and gentlemen, Lisa Madsen.
Thank you. Haven't done bright lights before. Thank you so much for sharing this honor with me tonight. I must say I am a proficient volunteer, but not so much a proficient public speaker, so bear with me for a few moments. Thank you to Mark, who's responsible for me standing up here this evening. He nominated me for this award after doing an interview with the ARC of Jefferson County, where my family's been volunteers for the past 5 years. If you look in the program, you can see I was not nominated alone. My 7-year-old Sammy, who is pictured in the program, was nominated with me. He is a very active volunteer as well. Hopefully, he is home in bed. A funny story about him is he's 7 and Halloween's coming up. So we were in the car the other day and I'm like, Sam, what are you gonna be for Halloween? Because usually by now he's changed his mind about 10 times. And he's like, Mom, we don't need to worry about it this year because Dad and I, we are going to win the lottery ticket so we can see the Broncos in London. So apparently there was a big lottery contest going on and we didn't know about it. So I called my husband and I'm like, we better buy some tickets and come up with plan B. So as you can see, he's an avid Broncos fan, and although they lost today, he was fighting for them till the bitter end. So Mark did a radio show recently with the ARC of Jefferson County. And for those of you who aren't familiar with them, they're an amazing nonprofit that provides advocacy, support, leadership, and training for people with developmental disabilities, often invisible, and their families. And we very much support them as they have helped us over the years. For those of you not familiar, there are local chapters of the ARC all around the metro area as well as throughout Colorado. I'm also an active volunteer with PEP, which stands for Parents Encouraging Parents, which is a division of the Colorado Department of Education. And they put on amazing weekends several times a year that are open to any parents in Colorado who have children with any kind of disability, and they offer opportunities for parents to get away for free weekends in the mountains to learn and get support regarding their child's, again, often invisible disability while connecting with other families. In my day job, I'm a social worker, and I work with children and adolescents who are in psychiatrics, again, who often have invisible disabilities. As Mark mentioned, there's 3 of us that live in my home, my husband, son, and I. And at least 2 of us have invisible disabilities. Who knows, I'm sure I'm diagnosable as well. Someone earlier said we probably all have something. I'm up here tonight because of work on behalf of my son and others that do have invisible disabilities. Between my work, volunteering, and personal life, you could say I'm a specialist of sorts for people with invisible disabilities. My son Sam, he's pictured in your program, and that picture was taken on a night he became a black belt in Taekwondo a few months ago. Yes, a real black belt. Not too many 7-year-olds can say that. He's also an active basketball and baseball player and ice skater. loves the high dive, and is very smart. He can tell you any trivia facts you want to know about the Rockies or don't want to know. Sam has Asperger's and sensory processing disorder. If he was standing up here tonight, it's conceivable you would have no idea what his challenges were. But if you lived with us or hung out with us or went to school or were on the playground with him, it would be very clear. For those of you who don't know, Asperger's is a neurological disorder that greatly impacts social functioning. My husband has a permanent back disability and is chronic pain. And again, if he was standing up here with his charming personality and sweet smile, you would have no idea. But believe me, I live with these two guys every day and often see their disabilities, which are clear to me but invisible to the world. When I heard about this organization a few months ago, I'm embarrassed to say I hadn't heard about them prior. I was thrilled to know they existed. I thought, my goodness, that's a huge part of my life. Most of the time I'm either living with, advocating for, educating the public, getting services for my family, or helping a new family along the journey, the complicated, challenging journey of invisible disabilities that many of you in the room are aware of. Again, thank you so much for having me here. I'm honored, and I want to close by thanking all the professionals and volunteers who've gone before me and helped get me where I am, whose shoulders I have rode on. In turn, I see the work I'm doing now contributing to families that come after me. A child, most likely a boy, is diagnosed with autism every 20 minutes, and hopefully I'm paving a slightly easier journey for them. I'd like to leave you with a quote that often inspires me. We are each of us angels with only one wing and can only fly by embracing each other. Thank you so much for coming out tonight.